Welcome to the Leading Lane podcast for real estate pros by real estate pros with your hosts, Ashley Frederick and Stephen Birch. If you're looking for an honest, authentic, and raw perspective, you found it.
Is everybody okay on time?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
I am.
So we kind of started it. And I think that this is going to be my theme, is just throwing people under the bus after we get done with like a serious one.
This is the second time he's done this now, so I have no idea what he's about to say either.
Like, did you see her like move her shoulders and then fix her hair? She's like, meh.
That's her.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I turn red.
I do too. Like my ears typically, or whatever. So let's reflect back almost a year. We all were in Cabo, and Heidi, you just shared that like you wouldn't have been able to do this back then.
No.
What were your limiting beliefs? What was the story that you were telling yourself? Like, why couldn't you do that?
I didn't know how. I didn't even know that was an option. Like I came to Cabo needing to restart my real estate business. Mm-hmm. And I had this little project. Like I wanted to do it. I didn't know what it could do. I just wanted to share it. I just wanted to share it for free, to be very honest with you. Mm-hmm. I wanted people to know about this. And I got to Cabo and you guys all looked at me and said, "You're freaking crazy. Who cares about your real estate business? This needs to go viral and needs to go worldwide." And I'm like, "Oh, world domination was your word. It's still in my book." Like, that changed. I didn't know I could even do this. I didn't even know that this was a possibility, let alone, like, why would anybody listen to me on a webinar? Why would I even consider doing a webinar? So going to Cabo and hearing those options and meeting people that understood how to do some of that stuff because they've done it before and said, "Hey, this is really valuable. You could do this." That was what changed, not even the limiting beliefs, but just the idea that this could be done. And then it got into the limiting, like, I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. Nobody wants to look at this on video. Nobody wants to hear what I have to say. I'm not an attorney. Getting rid of all of that in your head, that's really changed this. And then the more I've done this, it's like second nature. Like, I didn't even think about it today until like 9 o'clock. I'm like, oh crap, I gotta make sure my office is clean and I can sit down and talk to Steve and Ashley, like, right? So that's really where that came from, like just the confidence that you guys have given me, and like the ideas that they've gotten to fester a little bit and grow. That's where that's come from.
Do you feel that because of the path that you have went on, like obviously this is still an emotional thing to you, right? That's something that's absolutely never going to go away, in my opinion. I don't think, right, for any of us. But you shared with me like how emotional this is, and telling the story, and like you kind of gave me a disclaimer before we even started, like, what if I cry? Well, okay, but look how confident that you are now. Your poise about you as a total, and I think it's great that you would cry. Right? Like, I'm not that I want to make you cry or anything. Yeah. But like you are true and raw. And I think that if you stayed stuck, quote unquote, in not believing that you could do this, or not knowing that you could do this, you would still be bottled up. And right. That's something that I look at, is that, yes, you're sharing your story to help others, but really I think this has helped you.
Oh, it's helped me immensely. It's given me a different way to grieve in a way that makes sense to me. You guys have gotten to know me. Everything is literally on my shirt sleeve. My heart's there. I can't hide. There is nothing secret about me. And even when I think I'm bottled down and someone's like, "Hey, you need to come back out and play with us," So it's really helped me grieve in a different way and realize that it's okay to continue to grieve. Sometimes we think that grief should be done in a certain timeline, and it really isn't. Ashley, I shared earlier that this week is our 5-year anniversary of Jerry's death, and it's actually all falling on the same days that it happened. So Monday would have been the day that we came back, which was April 1st from the Next Home Conference. And we, like I know tonight we would have been out for drinks because all of our snowbirds are coming back to town. I know what tomorrow night what we were doing. Like these days, because of that Sunday, these days are all like in stone. And like last weekend I was out because all the snowbirds were home. Some of that timeline is a little bit off because of the holiday and stuff like that. But Sunday will be the day that he died. And it's on Sunday. So it's like, what am I going to do that day? Like there's all this grief anticipation kind of things coming up, and how are we going to handle that? And so that's where that kind of come up. And then Tuesday's my daughter's birthday. That's the day that I was sitting in the bank's office, was her birthday, So it's all right there. It hits really different this year. And I just haven't been able to decide how it's going to really roll out yet. And that's one of the things that I know I can't plan. Like, you can't plan that. No. And then you got the other layer of, I have a boyfriend. Like, how do you deal with all that, So, and when I was in Vegas and she handed me that box of tissues and I didn't realize what was going on until I saw it, I'm like, I got this. Like, once I realized it's okay if I tear up and nobody really cares, the tears went away and I'm like, I'm okay. Like, that's where that's all changed. Like, realizing that it's okay if I do tear up has been the bigger reliever of stress than ever before.
Sure.
Just accept it more. Like people are more relatable because they understand that it's still raw, it's still emotions. And I mean, I think, for coming up, just do your day. You'll conquer the days like you always have, and there'll be, I'm sure, high moments, low moments, but that's all part of the process that you deserve too.
Right. And I've always believed I've had a lot of losses in my life. I've always believed those lives deserve to be celebrated and not mourned. Yes, we still have a little mourning because we miss them, but their lives truly deserve a celebration because they brought something really great to ours, right? So I do believe that full-heartedly, and it's been proven right over and over and over again. So I just haven't found that way to celebrate this Sunday yet. Like, it'll come, sometimes it comes up that day and it's the best day ever, right? The last minute plans are always the best. But so I'm just working towards that, I guess, what's that going to look like? I just don't. Sometimes you have a plan, sometimes you don't. This year I don't have a plan.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And, I truly try to look at the positive of everything and just look at from something so tragic and, in your life that happens, and you still continue to move on. You work through that, and you then invested into yourself to go to, a mastermind. And then, from now a year later, going from, I don't think I can do this, to here you are on national stages and on podcasts and interviews and being able to go all these different places, right? Like, you're taking something and turning it into a positive, trying to help people. And look how many more lives that you're impacting by what you are doing and sharing your story. And so
my goal is originally just to keep us local in Bismarck. I never thought it would go to Kansas or to Wisconsin or to North Carolina or Vegas.
Or Mexico, yeah.
Or Mexico. Like, I just never, it wasn't even a blip on my radar, truly. Like, I just didn't think that was possible. I'm a small town girl. So maybe there were some limiting beliefs. I'm a small town girl. I live in a big city of Bismarck, North Dakota, compared to where I grew up. I have a great network here. I just wanted to make a difference in that network. I wasn't looking for a bigger stage originally. And then it just popped up and it grew from there. And so, yeah, there were some limiting beliefs I didn't realize. But again, it's crazy that it's such a needed thing all across the country.
Absolutely. I think that for all of us, we all have had limiting beliefs, and there's so many different things, and we all have come from small town, rural America, type of location. I mean, so like, I think that because we have, a group that we really connected with there in Cabo, and powerful people of being able to lift each other up more than we can lift ourselves up at the time. And, I think that's, my point of being able to continue the positivity and making sure you're there, the human connection, and surrounding yourself with those people that, are going to push you into the right direction. And sometimes you don't see what that direction is yet, and you need that little shove over and correction of the direction you're going. So
If I remember correctly, someone wasn't going to work with agents, and I believe I'm your first agent on board.
Yeah. No, I mean, and even with that, like even with my consulting, right? Like I went to Cabo with the only thought of working with brokers, period, and that's all I wanted to work with. Well, I mean, I had to be an agent in order to be a broker, right? Like I teach agents all day, every day in my own company. Why wouldn't I help, agents? So you just don't see those things. Like you sometimes have those blinders on, and you again need the people to be like, "Hey, yo, like it's right there in front of you. Dangle the carrot a little bit. Let's go."
So, you don't have to rebuild anything. It's already pretty much in place.
Yep,
like,
absolutely.
Why wouldn't you? You're missing out on a smaller but bigger chunk. Like,
absolutely. Yeah. So, Ashley, so what were your in Cabo? Let's go there. What were your impressions of Heidi then versus now?
Well, like I said, we immediately hit it off. So,
yeah. Well, I was going to say what happened first, but you're
like, she's a lot of fun. We're definitely going to get along. I think that, for me, it's always been, we've talked about it, like a struggle with other women, because if there aren't other confident women, then immediate, you're, not going to talk to you. We're not going to, and I just loved that as soon as I met you, we connected. And so obviously I knew you had confidence already. But, one, it's even telling your story. I remember that telling your story was, a very emotional time the first time. But it was, so much of that limiting belief that you didn't think that anybody wanted to hear it, or that you'd be able to help anyone, or that it was just going to be, locally. And, part of that mastermind was that, other people had to give you suggestions and you couldn't say no during that time frame. Like same with Steven when like no single agents, no coaching for agents. He couldn't say no and he had to listen to it. And I think that same thing for you. Like I think you have to imagine that was very eye opening for you as well to hear what other people thought. Just listening to you for 20 minutes. I think the best part over the last year has just been watching your confidence, one in the presentation. And sure, sometimes you tear up, sometimes you don't. Either way, it doesn't matter. But I think every single time you hear the story, I hear something a little bit different, or it's just, comes across differently because you're getting so confident in telling the story. But same thing, I don't think that I could have even, if we would have told you that you're going to be on a stage, 11 months later, you'd have been like, yeah, right. Not happening. I'm not doing that. And I think we briefly kind of threw it out at you and you were like, how funny. And here we are. And so to me, it's just really being able to watch someone do a 180 of their own growth. But it goes back to, right, the people that you surround yourself with. So not just this, group, but people that you have, back at home that I know are very supportive. Have let you do those workshops with them. So for me, I hope that it's just been extremely eye-opening for you, what value you do have. I mean, and, I think that like what you mentioned was like changing one person's life. I mean, you're going to change way more than one person's life. Like the amount of people that I've just talked about it that had no inklings or had no plans, like I'm just hopeful, right, that I can help one. So if we're all doing that, I mean, even for Ben and I, right, like we've changed. I mean, we still have stuff to figure out, but I just don't think that sometimes you realize how big your impact really is. And it's just the more and more you get to tell your story and get to do the online things. Like, I mean, you're literally changing people's lives.
It's been, so I did a couple presentations or seminars. I don't have the right word for that yet, but I've done a couple of presentations prior just to practice my story before going to the next home stage. And that was super eye-opening. I'm a member of different widow groups, and I've gone to different widow groups here in town, and we've all, they're all a little bit different age groups and all that. Just hearing their stories, because everybody has a story, no matter what it is, either way. Just hearing some of those stories, and one gal's my age, and she has 2 estranged children that have nothing to do with her now after their dad died. So it's very like just seeing her go through that, and because they didn't agree with her with what their plans were because they didn't have that conversation with their daughters. Just some of that just has just reinforced that this needs to move forward. Like, this really does need to go. It needs to, like, not launch. It just needs to, like, rocket launch. So
I love it.
And I think like I see you, like, for people, like, as a beacon of hope, right? So
right.
one, you're gonna change the people that haven't had to deal with it yet. But like you said, if it's other widow groups or whatnot that have seen how far you've come and things that you're still doing with your lives, and now you're trying to take that bad experience and turn it into something helpful, like, that's just going to bring up all those people too that have been struggling.
Right.
I think
The launch for me for this, what's kind of said was, I was visiting with a friend who does energy reading and stuff like that.
Mhm.
We were visiting, and she was doing a house cleanse while we were talking, like, via Zoom, and she's cleansing my house and doing all this stuff. And she goes, "Have you ever heard the terms take your misery into magic, or misery into mission?" I can't remember the exact words. And I remember thinking, not everybody's misery turns into something helpful or hopeful, or is that really what everybody wants to hear, is my story and my sob story, or maybe I'm just asking for all this grief. And then as it kind of sat with me for a while, and as you think about things or pray about them or let them just, I like the word fester, sit back here and grow. It was more about, yes, it was my misery, and yes, I can turn it into something, but then it became a mission. And then to talk about it every day. Who can I share this with and see if it would actually grow? And then as it continued to grow, then it turned into this big mission. And then all of a sudden it was like this passion project. And all of a sudden you guys are like, "Oh no, girl, this is going worldwide." And I'm like, well, then it's no longer a passion project. Like, but I can still keep that close to my heart because it's still mine. Like, it's something that I've watched build, and it's making a difference already. I can see it and feel it. And I've gotten conversations back. Thank you for doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been the catalyst to keep it moving. It would be so easy just to send out that email drip and just be done. And okay, let's put you on that. But then I realized I don't like that way of doing things. I'd rather have a dashboard that I can interact and see how this works for everybody, and continue to see you go through this instead of, okay, here's the workbook, bye. I don't like that part of it. I want to make sure that you're getting what you need out of it too. So that's been a fun realization.
Yeah. And I think that, we said impact one person's life, like, and that's something I constantly say too, but for the work that you're doing, like, that one person that's working with you, that one person that's doing that one workbook, it's all the family members and everybody else around that you're impacting. So that ripple effect, like, you literally took a stone and threw it in the pond and created this huge ripple effect just based off of one document, one workbook. Right. And so that impact is so huge.
That workbook
Absolutely.
Makes a huge impact.
Cool. Well, I won't throw you guys under the bus anymore, but I just wanted to talk about your growth. Huh?
I said, Ashley, do we get to throw him under the bus?
You can always throw me under the bus.
Do it. I love it. It's my favorite thing ever.
Yeah.
All right. That's all I got. Thank you for doing this. So appreciate you.
If you've enjoyed today's episode, please like, subscribe, and share with others. Stay connected for more genuine insights and strategies to boost your real estate career on Facebook, or check out our website. We'll see you next time.